Hey y'all, welcome back to a new episode of Kevysyde podcast. I am your host, Kevin Davis. I'm a comic writer, author, entrepreneur, adult giver, and occasionally get yelled at for not sleeping, but it comes from the job of being free. But today's guest is a good friend of mine who is the author behind American Dreams, which is a fantastic comic series. You guys should check it out, man.
I'm good. I'm good. Just a great miserable day outside, so I'm like glad to be inside.
But I still I know things about you, but to people that listen to you and like don't know much about you, can you tell us a bit of a backstory about you and what you do?
I'm Daniel. I'm a comic book writer out of Brooklyn, New York. I am the writer of American Dreams, which is why we're here today. I'm also the writer of Night Wrath, Rook and Knight, of Sherlock Holmes, The Phantom Masquerade. I am one of the showrunners on Chutzpah, which is a Jewish comics anthology that came out last year. And we just submitted that to a bunch of stuff.
Whoa,
So
that's so
hopefully we get some nominations.
that
And I've got a bunch of other irons in the fire.
man. I became a fan of you when I first met you, and I got your comic community news. I got the first six issues. That's like your
Yeah.
fantastic storyline and dude, that's fantastic art and just everything, dude, man. One, I have to. Reading American Dreams, I really love how you bring realism into your storytelling, and I love how you don't hold back at all. But that's what I really appreciate that because I crave that in a lot of stories. Like when I'm reading a book, if it doesn't like if it feel relatable, I just put it down. But reading your comic series, I cannot put it down at all. So please, can you like tell us like what was your creative process creating American Dreams and like what made you want to start with this story?
Well, one part of it, I was wanting to do more Jewish superhero stories because there's not that many out there currently. And one day I was listening to the soundtrack of Ragtime, which is a musical based off a book, which is about a bunch of families in early 1900s New York. And I just started doing, well, if there was a Jewish superhero in that time period, which was a major time period of major upheaval, change, political debate, and activism. And that's where the light bulb went off. And because also was very much, reflective of the time period we're in. It's very much like history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. We're very much back in a kind of a new Gilded Age kind of era. So it's a great historical backdrop for a superhero character, especially a Jewish immigrant uh, character, especially since the first draft was 2016. There's a little election going on back then.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so it was a fortuitous timing that I had the idea, and I wrote the first issue, which originally was called Modern Colossi, which is not a great title in retrospect, because I was thinking of the Statue of Liberty. And I was talking to a publisher, which did not go far with the book at the time, and he said, it's a great book, but the title sucks. So I had to think of a new title, and the only thing that came to my mind was American Dreams, and it worked.
And for those that don't know what Legend Dreams is, can you give us like your pitch of what the story is, what's the overall arc of these series that you do?
So American Dreams is about Jake Gold, who's a Jewish immigrant who's living in 1900s New York, who gains superpowers from a Thomas Edison experiment that goes completely haywire, giving him powers and also powers all over the city of New York. And now he has to decide how best to use them as a superhero and as a Jewish immigrant at the turn of the 20th century. And he's going up against people like Thomas Edison, J.P. Morgan, Aleister Crowley, but he also has people like Harry Houdini, Emma Goldman, and Nellie Bly as his, allies.
And I gotta say this, I haven't read many superhero comics as I'm only been like doing comics for 4 years professionally, and I only started reading comics in like 2020. I didn't know comics were a thing now. And so like I really like the digital properties of like Marvel, DC, yada yada yada. I don't really do it much anymore now. But I will say Mega Games is by far one of the best superhero stories I've ever read. So
Thank you.
want to say personally thank you for this amazing story. Because
Hmm.
I needed a refresher on some fresh superhero stories, and this really brought that refreshing take of superheroes for me.
Hmm.
And I know people talk about like the superhero fatigue and stuff. I'm like, it's not really a fatigue, it's just lack of creativity in it. And I feel like reading your American Dreams comments, it brought back that inspiration for me getting into more superheroes. And like, and dude, it's I can't stop talking about your comic, American Dreams. Yet people might start overhyping it. I'm like, this is worth the hype, guys. I'm like, I inform you, this is worth the hype, and bringing in your roots, your Jewish roots and everything, and that because you said there's like little to none Jewish heroes out there at all.
They're like none are like really are headliners. I mean, one could argue Batwoman is one of the few who are known to be Jewish out there who is headlining her own title. Batman, technically Jewish, but doesn't really count. You know, his mother was Jewish, it makes him Jewish. He does not count as a Jewish superhero by
Right,
most people. Superman has a lot of Jewish roots. Kal-El has some, it comes from some Hebrew roots as well. But again, not a Jewish superhero because he's not raised in Judaism and whatnot. So, but it's
right,
like we have like Wiccan at Marvel, we have Kitty Pryde at Marvel, we have Ragman at DC, but we don't have that. But they're not made big headliners for the most part. If they do get a headlining a book, it's a miniseries once in a blue moon.
right. And like, isn't like wasn't Moon Knight like a Jewish?
Moon Knight is Jewish, and
Well,
there
in
was a
the show, I
controversy over.
was like watching the show, I was a bit confused. Like, I wasn't sure if he was Jewish or not because that didn't
There's a
explain that.
lot of opinionated Jews have very strong opinions of how they mishandled Judaism
Uh,
in the Moon Knight TV show.
can you give me your point of view of how you felt when they did that, or the way they
It's
did
like,
it?
well, based like
Because I really admit, I'm not as known as with the Jewish representation. I don't know much about it, so I'm like, I really just
it's
I
like the
want to
things,
learn.
it's like little things with the yarmulke and like not really giving the Jewish aspects of his heritage as much attention as the Egyptian side. It's like
Hmm.
they allegedly had a rabbi on staff giving Judaism heritage advice, and one of the directors allegedly said on Twitter, "We have the Jewish representation. Don't worry." And of course, when you say that, something like that, we Jews worry.
Yeah.
And a lot of Jews, some Jews, it's like everything with Jews, we are of two minds
Hmm.
in among our own communities. Like some people thought it was okay, but a lot of people felt like it wasn't given as much detail, attention, and care as compared to the ancient Egyptian side of things.
Wow. And with the American Dreams, how far do you believe that you want to take this story? Like, do you have an ending in mind, or like how many issues you
I
think you're gonna
have a
get?
rough idea in mind for how to end American Dreams, at least for that story for that era. 'Cause I am
Hmm.
working on a Liberty miniseries set in the modern day as well.
Ooh,
But that's not ready. It's not ready for prime time yet. We're like still
gotcha.
under.
I got
I want to because I'm gonna release it as a graphic novel. We're trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the I do have an idea of how I would love the grand overall arc of the 1900s era of American Dreams to end. But that's been for a long time. I just outlined a couple months ago the idea for arc 3, for volume 3, which is issues 11 through 15. We'll see what
Mhm.
happens after that. But like I have to get through 9 and 10 first, and 9's being colored right now. 10's already fully drawn. So we're moving along in the pipeline.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people when they get like a certain number of issues, they tend to make it like a trade paperback. Will these single issues become a trade paperback, or are they all a trade paperback?
Well, issues 1 through 5 is in a trade paperback. I usually sell them at conventions.
Uh,
Um, and I add a little bonus content just to be, a little extra flavor. Right. So, volume 1, we have a prologue and 2 shorts.
ooh, okay, okay. That's wow, that's
And it's available on
beautiful.
the Kickstarter. Check it out.
Yeah, and speaking of Kickstarter, this issue 7, 8, right?
Yep, it's 7 and 8.
Yeah. Let me bring it up quick. Yeah, you just watched. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. It's a little small, but I can see it.
Yeah, American Dreams issues 1 through 8. You can actually get all 8 books. I got the first 6. I got to do the next 10. Man, you're already funding the like you get into the stress goals. Can you
Yeah.
tell us where we pick up in 7 and 8 for for this new chapters?
So, small spoilers for those of you who haven't read issue 6, there was a brawl beginning at the Remembrance Day parade, which is equivalent to Memorial Day now,
Mm-hmm.
in Union Square. Governor Roosevelt, who will be their President Teddy Roosevelt, is caught in the fray. Liberty's there. He's going up against neo-Confederates wearing like body armor. And basically what happened is, even though there's these two new superpowered people coming in to help save the day, there are consequences due to people using fear and mistrust to cause panic, even more so after the fact. And they're going to start going after those with powers and immigrants, anyone tangentially related, because of this
Mm-hmm.
climate of fear. Gee, what does that sound like in this modern day and age? I can't imagine.
I'm like with you on that one. Man, look
And
at these covers
basically,
though.
puppeteering it all is Aleister Crowley, who is, in our version of history, does have magical powers and he uses it for chaos and evil.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to grab these books, man.
Yep. Dodie
Man.
Eka, who's my penciler, Tebby Andre, who's my inker, and Tommy Shelton, who's my cover colorist, did the A covers. B covers by Vasco Gioacchini for issue 7. And issue 8 with Tommy doing the colors is Netho
Mm-hmm.
Diaz doing his final American Dreams cover because this little upstart company called Marvel picked him up for this little X-Men book exclusively. So I'm like,
Now, this cover of issue 7 is so, excuse me, it's so beautiful. Tell us what's going on with this cover.
so that's the issue 7A cover done by Dodie and Tebby and Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
It is the brawl in Union Square with Liberty and his two new allies, Augie, who's the speedster in the front, who is dodging the punch, and Frank, who's the kind of iron fisting his way with another enemy, is just the utter chaos and brawl going on down in Union Square, and also ultimately what causes some consequences.
And this is cover A, and it's on the Kickstarter right now, guys. The Kickstarter is in the show notes of this video. We'll make sure you back this book and this entire series.
Yep. That's the Vasco Giacchini cover. Liberty
That's
flying
that's
through.
our hero right there.
Yep. And people don't realize how relatively new the subway is. In 1900,
Mm,
they still were building it. So there's still all these
really?
elevated
Wow.
train tracks all over Manhattan. Part of the reason they started building the subway was in 1888, there was a massive blizzard which wrecked New York City. Below ground infrastructure like we do now, outages and danger.
Mm,
It's elevated trains having danger. It becomes an utter mess. So that's why New York City not only has the subway, it's
mm.
also because why most of our utilities, if we can do it, are underground.
I never knew that. That's actually really interesting. Huh. And I love like any specific heroes that kind of inspire your character and you just create them and craft them in your head in your writing.
Well, for this, obviously, it's a Superman, archetype that inspires it. And you have to remember, Superman was created by two Jewish immigrants, or the kids of Jewish immigrants.
I did not know that whatsoever. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I actually didn't know that.
because
Wow.
Jerry Siegel, whose father was basically a rag merchant who died during a holdup, he's the son of Jewish immigrants. Joe Shuster, not
Wow.
only the son of Jewish immigrants, he himself is an immigrant from Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, and they got together in Cleveland, and there you go. It's kind of amazing how many of the original comic book creators of the Golden Age and even of the Silver Age were Jewish.
Mhm.
And a lot of it was they couldn't get jobs anywhere else because of discrimination.
Right.
But I also had this kind of issue over the years of they never wrote Jewish characters because they wanted to be accepted into the mainstream. So that has a cause and effect that continues to this day.
I mean, I really don't understand why is there so much discrimination with that like at all. It's like I just don't understand why people have this mindset and like you can't do this because you believe in this and that. I'm just like, what the crap? And it really irks my nerves. Like especially when I see like your post on Facebook when you're explaining what's going on and like how with this anti Semitic stuff's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like why do people do this crap? Like, why are you hating these innocent people that's just celebrating just their life and what and their roots? Like, what is so wrong with that?
It's because of recent
And,
events in the last few years, societal anti-Semitism is much more permissible. Eh, and and I said earlier, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it sure as hell rhymes.
it, it's so sad.
Yeah.
And this is the issue 8A covenant,
Yep,
right?
and that's Crowley being diabolical and causing misery for our hero.
It's just really fascinates me about color is how these colors make stuff look almost 3D, especially for lighting on
Yeah.
some aspects. And I've been like, dude, how do these amazing artists do this? Bring it out so freaking good.
I
It
know,
looks
right?
3D. It's insane.
Tommy, who's my color colorist, Warnia does the interiors. It's just great. They do wizardry. It's like they take the already amazing black art done by Dobie and Tetby, and they just
Yeah. But and you have the same exact team for this entire saga, right?
right. I've had Dodie, Tebby, and Warnia basically doing my interiors on this for American Dream since issue 1. We've had different cover artists here and there, but
Mhm.
more or less the team's been the same, except for now we're down Netho because he's on X-Men. We can't get him anymore.
Yeah.
So when speaking of this is his final cover he did for us, and he even said to me on Twitter, "I would have loved to have done more covers." I'm like, well, "You got right into the big league. It's kind of hard to do it after that."
But I must say, your Kickstarter, you're making it very hard for me to choose this cover I want to get because all of these covers look speaking fantastic.
Which is why we always have the add-ons function now. Thank you, Kickstarter. Now that they finally have add-ons.
Dude, just I don't know how you got all just how you did this, but all these covers is just freaking phenomenal. I made it have to copy every single last one of them
Well,
because
Vasco has been doing some covers for me on some other stuff for a while. Dodie and Teddy, of course, have been working for me on American Dreams. Like them and like Netho, they were recommended to me by other people, and then we just get together and start, jamming.
look at some of these old ones right there. You can give the issue one PDF, $5, guys.
$5, you just get the intro, but it's, this way you know what you're in for.
You're right. You're right. And like 7 and 8 digitals, $10. I'm indie physical all the way.
Yeah. I like physical, but I'm running out of space, so I have to then I go
Yeah.
digital. Like I'm literally like testing as much of my comic collection as possible, so I can get more Kickstarter stuff in.
Right. Right. Oh my God.
Actually, I
Oh,
was
what's
on.
this? Choose your copy. What's this?
Oh, basically, if you don't want to go for like you just want issue 7 and get issue 8 later, or you just want like or like pick and choose and whatnot, you could choose like one copy here, then you can do an add-on and mix and match, as you go. This is a thing to make it a
That's
little simpler and easier.
yeah. That's actually I've never seen nobody do it. That's actually cool.
Well, like, and also, it's really rare for someone to do a double issue Kickstarter. So
That's a good
yeah,
point. That's a good point. That's a
yeah.
really good point. Yeah. And you already funded, and now you're just hitting the stretch goals.
Which I still need to figure out because for like the last couple weeks, I'm like, come on, let's get the goal. Now with about 10 days to go, I have to go. Okay, what's an affordable stretch goal?
Right. One more. And look at this beautiful action, guys. Just right. He's like, dude, what is going on here? Like, can you just
It
tell us
is
what's happening right now?
basically it's Governor Roosevelt because Governor Roosevelt is part of a little group called the I believe they call it the Circle of Thoth or something like that, the Order of
Yeah.
Thoth, and he's recounting to them what happened from his point of view at the brawl, so we have an idea what's
Mm,
going on. So you see our hero Liberty and our two neophyte superpowered people helping stop these basically neo Confederate terrorists from
mm,
destroying Union Square and the Memorial Day Parade. You get also a bit of an idea of their personalities. Frank is more brash. Augie is more timid. Is more, well, I say passive or timid, but he's more cautious.
Okay, nice.
It's interesting because you've read issue 6. You know that, interestingly enough, Hank, though he's not in a gang, he's kind of like Liberty, where he's because Jake was in a gang.
Mhm.
Frank has probably some lessons, savoring friends. Augie is a activist. He wants more civil rights for the African American community of New York, and he's also edging his way towards anarchism,
Uh,
as espoused by Emma Goldman.
yeah, and when I also read American Dream, I got the vibe of Superman of to your character. And I also kind of had a feel like a little bit of Gambit in your character, kind of like the way he looks in his suit a bit,
Well,
and
I
like
just wanted the hair exposed, so I
yeah,
just
I'm
didn't
like,
want
cause
like a
I got
mask.
that's
And
yeah,
I thought the
yeah,
little headstock would make it make it
yeah.
look a
I
little
was
different.
like I wasn't sure if Gambit was another inspiration for you, but he just like his mask and his hair kind of
It might have
reminded me
been
of you.
tangentially. I just like the look of that whole mask cowl combo.
It's freaking badass too. Like seriously.
And when I said there were repercussions to that fight, this next page is the repercussions when you hear all the newsboys shouting out all the headlines about the fight from all the major papers in the city, and notice only one's positive.
Uh-huh. Oh wow.
That's the one that Nanny Bly works for. Because she and her assistant's the love interest for Liberty, are the ones saying Liberty did what was right. I
Mhm.
don't know why you are claiming all these things about him. And that's actually going to have a nice, fun argument between her and Joseph Pulitzer about that. And because a lot of people know I'm a theater fan, they did put a Newsies reference in that sequence, in that 3 or 4 page sequence, but it's not in this
Gotcha.
previews.
Gotcha. You're a theater fan. What's like your favorite theater performance I've seen?
Ooh, that's always a tough one. But I will say recently I saw Masquerade, which is the new recreation of Phantom of the Opera, where it's immersive. It's
Yeah.
expensive as hell. I used my Christmas bonus for it. Um,
Oh,
but it's so fun and it's very intimate because it's only like 60 people. They have multiple Phantom like Christines for each performance because
yeah,
you're
yeah,
going
yeah.
in like groups of 60 or so at a time at different time slots. And it's really good. It's this whole show done in 2 hours, no intermission, so go to the bathroom beforehand.
Doing loaded.
And you're basically because it's an immersive event, you're going upstairs, downstairs into all these little antechambers and whatnot, and this basically custom built theater in what was a art supply store near Carnegie Hall. But there's a password. You don't have a physical ticket. You do have a password for your time slot.
Nice. Okay. I can't say I grew up on theater, but I've been to like theater performances.
Hmm.
Like, but my sister always been talking about she wants to like experience Broadway, like for the first time, and I would love to go see a show on Broadway. I was like, have you experienced Broadway, right? Like how I'm not being off topic for a second, but you know more theater than I do. Like how is it like the Broadway? Like how does that go? Like how does when you there, how do you feel? Like it looks so elegant, it looks so freaking beautiful. Like
You
how
can
like
just go in regular clothes. I do most of the time just go in regular clothes. You don't always have to dress
oh,
up
okay.
for it, thankfully. I didn't have to dress masquerade, but that's because of the immersion.
Okay.
That's different. But that you do have to dress up because that one has a
Okay.
dress code. Most theaters do not in New York City. They don't have the dress code. It's nice to dress up a little bit, but you don't have to be like suit jacket or anything.
Okay. Okay.
So I will say when it's the summer and your air conditioners are going, it gets nice and cold,
Oof.
which is good because it's you step outside the theater, you're like, I'm dying, it's so hot. Now, my dad gets us cheap tickets because he works for a nonprofit. Technically, he works for a union, so he gets cheap tickets online for
Mm,
something called the Theatrical Development Fund. But they're the same people who run the TKTS booth in Times Square. The only difference is he can get his stuff ahead of time online, whereas if you're going to TTS booth for discounted tickets, for same day discounted tickets, you have to be in line and everything is the same day. But still run by the same company, you can still get the affordable tickets. There's also the ticket lotteries where it's same day you put in for a lottery for tickets, which then you pay and then you can pay at a discounted rate, but it doesn't guarantee you get the ticket.
mm, wow.
And then it's good old fashioned, just go to the show site and buy.
Right. Right. And you also have a #1 issues bundle where you can get American Dreams. What's that
Wicked
title?
Knight and Night Wrath.
Working Night and Night Wrap. What
So
are these
basically,
other two stories? I actually
they're
never
part of
seen
my
the other
Liberty
two.
verse.
Wow. So what's the pitch of the other two stories?
Wicked Knight, it's basically my Batman and Robin, they're a father and son vigilante team that's falling apart at the seams
Uh,
at the worst possible time because there's a new drug giving people villains superpowers running through New York. And Night Wrath is kind of like a nice, darker hero, kind of like Venom meets Spawn
oh,
meets the Max. It's basically about a this schlub is has no self-esteem whatsoever, gets enhanced into this hulking hero known as Night Wrath, but he still has no self-esteem whatsoever. So his Night Wrath side and his human side are constantly kind of conflicting with each other.
yeah. Holy smokes. This is the Liberty movie. I like that movie. That's such a good book. And with with this universe, are you planning a crossover event
I
potentially?
am. I just want to make sure the first arcs of at least Night Wrath, or the first arc of at least of Night Wrath is done, so I can bring in a Liberty Night Wrath crossover.
Okay, so we got a
And when I get
while
Night Wrath,
before.
well, if I can do a bit more of a broader crossover or event.
Uh, Okay, I I'm a huge nerd. I'm a sucker for crossovers, and I love seeing different personalities and different characters interact with each other because I'm always curious. Like, how would this personality interact with this, especially their polar opposites? I'm always curious of how
I will
characters.
say, if you look at Broken Knight issue 1, you might start seeing some of that happen already.
Okay, I gotta get that too. I gotta get that. I'm legit gonna buy your entire universe of comics and just like
Yeah.
get what the heck. And then someday I'm gonna meet you at a convention. I was like, can you please sign these books I bought from your universe? Because you suckered me in into this. So can you please? And then you have a lot of people, but can you please sign these hundreds of books that I bought from your universe? Man, oh my God. This is so freaking cool. And I mentioned superhero fatigue earlier. I want to hear from you. What did you like your take on like superhero fatigue, as people say? Like, what is your
I
take
think
on
it's
that?
because a lot of it, well, let's be fair, Marvel's been the big kahuna for the last decade or 15 years since Iron Man, give or take.
15, 20 years maybe?
Yeah, and like they've really have been ruling the roost. DC really hasn't hit its footing until maybe this past year, really enough, with
Right.
Superman right out of the gate. And with Peacemaker season 2 and certain things starting and Creature Commandos. But each of them have various tones. Whereas MCU seems to be spinning its wheels and it seems to all have the same jokey little tone. The
Yeah.
bathos versus the pathos,
Yeah.
as I believe someone once put it in a video. Just that it doesn't feel as sincere and also feels a little cookie cutter after a while.
Mhm.
This is
Yeah.
why I think DC starting to hit it out of the park, not only in comics but in TV and film, because they do have different tones. Sure, there might be a little comedic tone here and there, like in Creature Commandos,
Mhm.
but it's balanced.
Yeah.
As Whereas, and I think this is very formulaic of the Joss Whedon school of screenwriting and comic writing, is like I believe he used to say, and like I know he's not the best person in the world right now, but I used to say, make it hurt, make him feel, but God's sakes, hit him with a joke, or something like that.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, that joke just deflates the emotional moments, and that's I think also really hurting it. And then when you're just the big king of the hill and you're formulating, you're just spinning your wheels, it's going to
Mhm.
cause the quote unquote fatigue. Not necessarily fatigue with superheroes; it's fatigue with a certain formula within superheroes.
Right.
And I think he's also seeing it right now in the comics. And of course, another was looking at this like, how dare blacklist this guy for dissing us. I'm not dissing. I
Mhm.
mean, completely constructive here. Though maybe a little critical. They've been spinning their wheels a bit at Marvel creatively, I think
Mhm.
in all areas. Because for years, they could just, let Marvel on a book and that'll be, and they push out the most books out of everyone with the multiple covers. So they basically choke everyone out. But creatively, they're spinning their wheels, except for some places here and there. Like Spider-Man sales are not great right now, allegedly.
Wow, really?
So I think it might bounce back soon now that it's starting character.
Oh my god. I grew up on Spider-Man. Spider-Man's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite characters too, despite he's from Queens. But it's like something creatively is not working right now at Marvel, whereas DC, a couple misfires here and there, but DC's like on full fire right now. It's like not just the absolute stuff, which of course is selling like hotcakes, but it's like the DC mainline is also doing really well commercially and critically with
Mm,
fans. Marvel isn't getting as much of that critical acclaim, and like I remember reading one of their comics a couple years ago. I'm like, the paper quality alone, it feels a lot thinner
yeah,
at Marvel, and they're charging more than DC sometimes.
yeah,
Like it felt thinner. DC's paper quality felt a little stronger, and Marvel's felt a little bit thinner.
yeah.
I don't know that was back because of Pearl Mutter back when he controlled everything, cost cutting up the wazoo. But something isn't quite gelling with a lot of the comics right now, and I think you can see that with some of the fan responses.
Mm.
But it's interesting because Marvel Rivals, for example, is doing well. Daredevil on TV does well, and I've heard good things about the new book that launched. But something just is not clicking with anything else, and I don't know what's going on.
Like, do you think Marvel kind of got like too comfortable and too cocky at
I
one
think they were
point?
victims of their own success. Yeah, I think they got cut.
Yeah,
They're like, we don't need to do anything. We're still the top kahuna. We got the most books in the
yeah.
stands and everything. And now DC is now like, for the first time in this century, has a bigger market share.
Like what if the first 10 years Marvel, I was excited for Marvel over DC. But now I'm kind of like I'm kind of starting to be more excited for DC now than I am for Marvel, which I never thought would be possible because I thought DC was like unorganized, like out of this thing. But I'm excited for like the Spider-Man movie for Marvel, Brand New Day. And I'm excited for Stupid Girl. Anyway, I was like, but and then you have Avengers Doomsday, which can be like a huge nostalgia type of
Yes,
thing.
very much nostalgia. So
And
it's
I
like,
was like, and then I read the Richard Secret Wars storyline, and I was like, that's a lasting event, and I feel like Marvel did not build that at all. This saga, and I was like, they just rushing it, trying to make some money, but they're not telling the proper story to get to that event. And I'm like, and that is a massive event that needs to like that needs the proper build up. And I'm like, they're
yeah.
taking this way too fast.
I think part of the problem is, well, for me, it's like for trying to catch up to Marvel now, it's like doing homework.
Yes.
Because I have to watch now several TV shows, several films, and just to catch up. Uh, and
Wow,
I'll like,
what have you seen?
I just haven't seen a lot of it. Like, I am so behind. Yeah,
Well, I
because
will say, I will just you're not missing much.
it's like,
But
yeah,
but
I think,
I can recommend. Loki was I think was well written. That was pretty good. Falcon and Winter Soldier is all over the place. The good. Brave New World was all over the place. Wonder Vision started out strong, and then it kind of like bounced like in a way, but I think it still was pretty decent. Agatha was actually one of the better shows, to be honest. It's
I actually
actually
want to see
pretty.
it in part because, Broadway diva Patty LuPone's in it as one of
Yeah,
the
that part. Agatha was. I
as
think
he's being very Patty LuPone.
so. I think you. In my opinion, I think you would definitely enjoy Loki, Agatha, Pretty much. Like if maybe She-Hulk if you like comedy, but that was a bit.
Yeah.
That was
It's just it is the balance, I think, a bit more.
yeah
I think also part of the
yeah
problem is because of their multiverse saga kind of went very
yeah.
fast.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that was a headache, man.
It's why they're now repivoting because
Yeah,
they
those
need
need to
to fix this
happen.
problem fast.
I'm like Ironheart is it was decent. It wasn't the best, but it felt rushed. You know, they brought in the devil. What's his name? Jesus Christ. Shit. I
That
forgot
narrow,
the
because that's DC.
I forgot his name, but
Hold on, I'll look it up.
yeah, I think, but
Mephisto.
yeah, but thank you. I mean, I forget his name, but that was interesting how they brought in like the magic versus technology story. I mean, that's very interesting. Like it felt rushed as all get up, but they only had like limited episodes. Moon Knight was very overhyped. I was definitely disappointed in it. It, it was very overhyped because the Kevin Feige talking about they didn't hold back on the shelves. Like they definitely held back a lot. Daredevil Born Again. I have to finish the first season. It felt more like Law and Order than Daredevil.
It's funny
So
because
that
Vincent D'Onofrio was in a Law and Order spinoff when I was a kid. He was in Criminal Intent.
wow, really?
Well,
That's
that was my introduction to
interesting.
him. Most people might hear like, "Oh, he's the guy from Men in Black." Like, no, he's this actor from Law and Order: Criminal Intent, who's kind of crazy, but he always gets the bad guy.
Oh my God. No, he's a great actor though.
Yeah,
He's like I'm not saying that it's like I wasn't saying it's bad. It felt that way because I'm a huge Marvel fan even though I haven't seen it in years. But I just expected more Daredevil with a lot of order if that makes sense.
yeah.
But I just feel like they lean too much towards the law and order part. But season two looks pretty good. I haven't started watching it yet because I'm still out the part finished season one. And but I'm excited to see they brought back Jessica Jones. And they just showed the set photo of season three. They're bringing back Iron Fist and Page.
Yeah.
So that seems like it's gonna be interesting. But like I said, you're not really missing much. So you don't have to do much homework. I'll just let them like check out Loki, Agatha, WandaVision, and that's pretty much I probably like recommend you for you to check out. I'm like, you don't have to sit through Falcon and Winter Soldier if that if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's really funny because you mentioned Jessica Jones. So in the first season, when she goes into that bank-like building, that's the Williamsburg Bank building in Brooklyn, which
Yeah.
where my dentist was, orthodontist was when I was a kid, coincidentally. But it's but then she exits because being able to, it's supposed to be like a port building, and then she exits. But it's really funny because that building is nowhere near the water.
What?
No, it's like a bank building in the middle of Brooklyn. Like it's not far from the water, but it's nowhere near
Yeah.
like the shoreline.
Wow.
It's actually
Jesus
amazing how much they
Christ.
actually do film these shows in Brooklyn versus Manhattan. Like the Hell's Kitchen, where Daredevil is half the time, is actually filmed in Brooklyn.
Wow.
Yeah, the cemetery where
Like,
he
since
like kind
I'm
of.
like, you're based in New York, do you sometimes like see sets of where you traveling around New York?
It's really funny because when Gotham was on, not the best show in the world, but it's fun.
I
But
stopped
when it
watching
was
after
going
season two.
on, me and my mom used to watch it, and we are like, "Oh, this is where they filmed it. Oh, that's where they filmed it. Oh, that's where they filmed it."
Oh, that is so cool. I've always wanted to experience like seeing a live set of people filming something and seeing like people show like set videos or like fans and like seeing the set. I was like, I want to experience it in person to see how it feels.
The one time I
And
did that
like,
was during the first season of Gotham. Realized I saw they were filming near what's called the Montauk Club in Park Slope. Saturday morning, I got there just as they went inside to film interiors, so I missed them filming outside. But I talked a bit to I guess one of the production assistants, and he's like, "Yeah, you just missed them, but we were filming day for night. We had all these ray machines. They're better inside now doing a fight scene." I'm like, "Okay." And of course, later on, season one, it's one of the big fight scenes with against like Victor Zsasz. The first season.
holy
Big funny
smokes,
thing,
okay.
I think it was in season 2 or 3, there's a scene where Bruce and another boy are being chased by Ra's al Ghul through a
Mhm.
museum, and they pass through this big tiled room. Mom goes, "Oh, I wonder where that is." I'm like, "Mom, it's the Brooklyn Museum." I'm like, "How can you tell?" I was like, "Mom, walked through that ballroom 1,000 times on our way to the Egyptian artifacts." Which again, going back to Law and Order. So when they did the new mobster organized crime one, when they did the pilot for that, there's a scene where Elliot's new commanding officer like, meet me at the Metropolitan Museum tomorrow, and then do a cut to the museum. It's the Brooklyn Museum Egyptian Gallery. It's one of the places I've been to so many times since I was a little kid because I used to live down the block from it. But it's like, I guess the Brooklyn Museum is cheaper to film in than the Met.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're coming up on time, but first, Mr. Daniel, thank you for coming on the show, man. American Dream, speaking of rocks, like I said, I got the first six. I was like, I'm just going to show these off right quick. Yes. So you guys know I'm serious about this series. You guys need to copy these books. If you want to have a good superhero storytelling, you need to speak these books. Like seriously. Seriously. And I got a copy the other two books of 7, 8 and your others Liberty series, Liberty Universe books.
Yeah.
I'm so serious about coming to a convention just to see you actually put your autograph on these books and other books I'm watching.
Nice.
So just give you a
Nice.
heads up and I get to
Yeah.
travel.
So con-wise, I will be at Garden State Comic Fest in June. I'll be
Heck yeah.
at San Diego, but I'm walking around, so it's not directly tabling. I'm just walking around, no tables, no masters, but trying to get some face time with editors. August, I will be at Expo Boston. September, I'll be at Baltimore. And fingers crossed, I'll be tabling at New York Comic Con in October. Otherwise, I'll just be walking around.
Man.
And then there's
Well,
this new convention being put on by James City in the 4th in November in Brooklyn as well, and I applied for that too. So we'll see if I get in there.
well, fingers crossed. I hope you get those, man. American Dreams issue 7 and 8 are on the Kickstarter right now, guys. Link in the description of this video. Go back it. Show Mr. Naya some love and just get this book globally and get this story out everywhere. Like I'm seriously. But before we hop off, please tell us where we can follow you and on social media. You can keep up with the podcast.
Okay, so you can find me at danielkalban.com. There's a link to there. It goes to all my social media. But just to tell you, Daniel Kalban on Facebook, at Daniel Kalban on Twitter, and D Kalban on Instagram and Blue Sky and Threads.
And I'm Kevin Davis. You can find me on Instagram at I am Kevin Davis official, and my business tags are in that description in my bio of my Instagram, Facebook. I am Kevin Davis CEO, and you can find me at Kevysie State Podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you watch or listen to podcasts. Yes, so Daniel, thank you so much for coming on, man, and you're more than welcome to come back anytime you want. Anything you have colonized, keep on being amazing, world, and yeah, keep shooting out these latest stories because these stories are short expositional and I love the realism and I love that you do not hold back. I feel like we need a lot more of that in storytelling. If I'm being honest, because like you said, like in Marvel's like they're lacking and they're like so comfortable in just the same formula. It's like they need to evolve. Like storytelling it requires involvement. So thank you for getting me back into superheroes.
Thank you.
But you guys, Kickstarter of American Dreams, issue 7, 8 on Kickstarter. Link in the description, like I said. And go check it out, go back it, share it around. Let's get to the stretch goals. And see you guys next time on Kevysie Fate.
Bye.